that's the opening slide. Know how to use your smartphone camera easily for photography, great photography. Okay. And objectives of this session is, of course, learning basic photography terminology. Terminology from the point of view of the features that are there or the options that are there in smartphones itself. Okay. Understanding camera settings, very essential, when we want to convert a good photo to a great photo. And different modes. There are various modes that are there in a cell phone, and how to use them, when to use them, for what purpose to use them. That is also something that we will be exploring. Besides that, if there are any questions regarding to your phone to phone photography, you can put that in the chat box. I will read that out and try and answer that to the best of my ability. Now, first comes first. Have you explored all the modes of your smartphone camera? Very essential. One of the best things about a smartphone photography, or a digital photography as we call it, is that there is no monetary expenditure. Okay. In the good old days when we used to do photography, I remember when I was in somewhere around high school or so, we used to save about 100 odd bucks to buy a film, and because it was not only the film, we had to get the film developed, and after developing, we had to get the prints also. Not so longer. Now it's just click, point and shoot, click, and then it is there. So, and since this feature is there, there are various modes also. Technology is improving rapidly, and most of the modes that we see in the professional cameras, the bigger cameras, the bulkier ones, they have also come down in the smartphone, cameras too. Okay. So no challenge, Anjana ji, we will explore all the modes there today. Okay. Once again. Now, a little bit about smartphone cameras. If any individual is looking to replace an Android device, okay, or even an iPhone, the only thing is iPhone is, of course, just one manufacturer, that is Apple. In Android, there are multiple, thousands of manufacturers there. So if we are looking for to replace our smartphone, then besides other things, for the camera, what do we need to look for? Number one, wider lens apertures. Okay. This is one of the, I would call it as a disadvantage. When we try, when we go to buy a smartphone, what we normally do is we set a budget, okay, that we will buy a phone, say, within, say 20,000, 30,000, or whatever the budget is. Right? And then we start looking for phones there. We go on to what we call them, the shopping sites for their price, because our base, angle is price there. Now, from the price point of view, there are certain technical specifications which are there on the shopping site, but not all. So if we have selected any kind of a product, if we have selected any brand or any model, please go a step further and rehearse, do some research on the camera of that particular model itself. Because this is not something which is dealt in detail on the shopping sites. Okay. Yes, Anjana, you wanted to ask me something? Okay. So the first, of course, is wider lens apertures. One of the best things is that these days we have multiple lenses, okay, or as they call it, 3 cameras, 4 cameras, generally referred to as. So those are with the, more the cameras or more the lenses, better is the image quality. Pixels, okay. Pixels is something which determines the quality of the picture. Now pixels generally starting from 12 going up to 21. 12 is a decent figure. Anything way beyond that is, moving towards the better this thing. But yes, why? Having said that, as we move up, the cost of the cameras or the cost of the phone also moves up. Then there is something called, sensor. Okay. Generally, we understand that when pixels are higher, the pictures are good. But it's not only pixels. The sensor plays an equally important role. Okay. Larger the sensor, bigger, because the sensor is something which controls the operations of the camera. Okay. The light falls on the sensor, and then the sensor, controls the camera after that. So if the sensor is not good, okay, and then the camera quality, the picture quality, the print quality may be good, but the capture quality may not be all that great. And sensors, unfortunately, they come in sizes. Okay. Size is their size is in fractions of, starting from fractions of an inch going up to maximum 1 inch. Okay. 1 inch is the highest that is there in smartphones. So check on the sensor, because sensor is, it's the heart of, it's the brain of the camera itself. And the screen size, both of them bigger the better. Screen size, because what we see on the screen is what is clicked. Right? So if the screen size is smaller, if the handset has a smaller screen size, we'll see a small image there. So that then we can lose out certain details there. So that's why screen size. Lenses and zoom, again, multiple cameras. We have multiple lenses these days, and they have different focal lengths also. So more of them, the better it is. And in a smartphone, they work in combination. So that is a better. Zoom is a feature which normally should not be used beyond a certain point. Because what happens with zoomed pictures is that the image tends to pixelate. Okay. On the other hand, click a normal picture, because then, the sensor is getting most of the light. When we expand, when we try and zoom, the sensor is overburdened and it does not click a great picture there. Okay. So click a smaller picture, and while getting it printed, maybe zoom it out, because then the pixels are maintained and the print comes out good. Okay. Optical image stabilization. This is something very essential for individuals who click a lot of videos. Okay. Videos in the sense that when we are clicking a picture, it's just for maybe a couple of seconds that we are holding the camera. Okay. But when we are clicking a video, especially while moving, the hands tend to shake. And what optical image stabilization does is it minimizes the shake effect. Right? So a camera with a good optical image stabilization, this is again a kind of a sensor that is there, will click great videos, will capture great videos, and click good pictures, especially of any moving objects, shooting stars, or traffic, those kind of things. Then, besides that, what we need to look for is HDR. Okay. HDR is something which is common. It is, it captures shadows, highlights very well. For outdoor photography, it's a great thing. Indoor, if there are multiple shades of lights that we are using. Camera control options. This is for the advanced photographers. Okay. Advanced photographers, in the sense that besides the normal, or what we call it predefined conditions, a camera can also be controlled in the manual mode. But then we need to know more about photography. More about photography in the sense that what is the distance, what would be the aperture, what would be the shutter speed, and so on and so forth. So if there is a manual mode, very great, because as we mature in photography, we will be able to use this feature to customize the camera settings for a particular photo. Video, again, 4K required. Most of the cameras have that. Flash is something which all the cameras have. RAM, very essential. RAM is the total memory of the phone. When we are using, yes, Carol, no doubt about that. No doubt about that. We'll be getting that. We'll be getting there soon. RAM, very essential. Very, very essential in the sense that the total memory of the photo of the device is a RAM. Right? So it's the central processor, as we call it. And what depends here is, since we use multiple apps, and there are a lot of apps working in the background also, there are certain modes of the camera where the shutter clicks after a small duration. Lower the RAM, larger will be that duration. Larger the RAM, lower will be that duration. So RAM is also essential. And of course, battery life, because if you're outdoors or anywhere, the battery life of the entire unit as such, entire phone. And internal storage, because that is where we store all the photographs that are clicked. Water and dust resistant, very necessary, especially because seasons change, conditions change, weather conditions change. So very essential to have this. And like Carol just now mentioned to me, that not to forget that clean the lens of the camera before taking a picture. Blind the thumb rule. Okay. Irrespective of whether we have placed the camera in a case, the phone in a case, or we don't have a case. Blanket tip number one, Carol has started with that we kind of clean the lens of the camera before taking a picture. Now, coming over to, these were some of the essentials there, which we look for. Composing a photo. The layout of a photo is known as composition. That is the first thing. And a keen eye for composition can improve and enhance photos. The basic thing here to be seen is, composition, if we look at it from, just look at, for example, just look at, on the screen, just see any picture. Maybe just see the section where you can see. You find these earphones, they don't look nice, but they're an advantage for me, so I use them. But otherwise, not a very nice sight to see earphones on, on some. If you click a picture like this, it wouldn't be all that great. And that is keen eye. Any kind of, of an undesired element in the frame. It could be, like for example, Anjana ji is more keen on, say, a food photography. She's clicking something which is there on a table, on a dining table laid out. And sitting in one corner of that is maybe a salt and pepper shaker. Not required. Okay. Now that is keen eye. Okay. So we need to have a keen eye of what we want to convey. And the focus should be on what we are conveying, number one, and the background has to be absolutely either matching that or clean background. Now, that is what is keen eye for composition. Right? Of course, depth and width of the background, how far it is, how close it is, it shouldn't be that we are looking at a picture, be it on social media or be it on be it on any kind of a device, it seems that the picture is so overwhelming that we have to kind of move our eyes back and front, adjust, because we can't move the phone in front of that. So the depth and width of the background matters over there. Any kind of mergers, not good. Merger means overlaps. Okay. If there is one thing that we are focusing on, just focus on that. Okay. Besides that, if it's an individual body parts, any kind of body parts should not be cropped. Okay. Cropped in the sense that sometimes what happens, we are clicking pictures. Okay. There's a group that is standing there, and from that group, we try and click an individual's picture. And all of a sudden, we find, the individual maybe moves a little bit, or somebody comes in between, and there is maybe just somebody's shoulder off. There is the frame is perfect, but then there is somebody's hand is here, or those kind of things. Not to, that is an absolute no-no. While clicking any kind of an image, try changing the distance from the subject. Okay. Distance as well as angles. These are two very important things. We will go into specific details regarding food food when I do the session next month on food photography about distance and angles. Very critical. Okay. In the sense that I can, one of the things that we see, something which is very common. Pick up a restaurant menu, okay? A restaurant menu, the printed one or something which is electronic, will have the best of colors, it will seem as if, I just want that dish right in front of me so that I eat it. But when you actually go to that place there, except for the top-notch restaurants, there is no comparison between what was the picture and what was it. That is photography. That is photography. Somebody has used the Anjanaji. So that is photography. Okay. And that is all angles and distances. Okay. From where you click, how you make it big. A small fish, maybe just a 2-inch piece, would look like as if it is 6 inches of food material there. Okay. So that is all angles and all that. Okay. So try different angles and see what we want to convey there. Experimenting is most. Experimenting and exploring in technology is the most, because both these things let us do, we can have the basics, but then when we experiment and when we explore, that's how we reach, the goal there. Okay. Carol writes to me, you pay for what you see in the picture, and when you receive the plate, you say, I paid for this. So great, Carol. Thanks for sharing that. Okay. Now, exposure, a very important element. Okay. Exposure in a digital camera, the sensor that I was telling you, that is the one which captures the exposure. Okay. And it's captured automatically. Okay. When a photo is clicked, the sensor is exposed to light for the fraction of a second, okay, or sometimes longer. The total amount of light which is captured is called the exposure. Here, I would just give you one example. Okay, now you see me sit here with certain lights here. Okay, now if I switch on one more light, okay, forget switch on a light, I will just change one more light mode. I just switched it off. There's no light. Okay. I switch it on again, it's too bright there. Okay. If I move it to another shade, okay, you see this is white shade. You see me as something that's white. This color, white photography is now out. Okay, let me share something. White is now out. Soft colors are in. Now, this shade, okay, when you look at me like this, you'll see me white, all the reflections will be white. But when you see me something like this, it will be more towards the natural tone of the skin. Okay. So when you're using light, when we are using light also, we have to see as to what is it, that we want to be conveyed. Okay. Yes, whites are good when we are doing object photography, or something which is packed and this and that, then it's a different thing altogether. Any image that we need to capture, any individual that we need to capture, soft light is in. Now, one of the things that happens with exposure is, if it isn't right, the photo will come out dark. Okay. And vice versa. So if you're clicking a picture like this, if you click my picture like this, it will be great. But if at the same time, if I switch this light on also and switch over, the other one to the bright side. Okay. Now, what kind of a picture will you get? You won't even hardly see, the features there, because there's too much of light there. Right? So this reflects on the quality of the picture there. Right? Now, moving ahead, focus, very essential. This is again adjusted automatically. The subject should be the focus of the photo. Whatever is the, we are, whether it's an object or whether it's an individual. And they should be sharp, not blurry. One of the things in smart cameras is that they handle it automatically. Like when we try and take a picture, we see those square, the yellow square, or maybe the yellow circle kind of a thing that appears on the screen. That is the camera automatically trying to set the focus. Right? If we have to guide the camera, if there are multiple faces there, just tap on those square boxes that appear. Because then the camera is guided that this is the place where I need to focus the camera. So when clicking a picture, especially a group, or sometimes when the lights are slightly down, the camera may lose the focus, but then it can be automatically set right there. Now this is what it is. They have a focus indicator. I'll share that when I go live also. Now, certain things for outdoor photography. Okay, the main photography is the sunlight, and depending on the time, the weather, the sun changes a lot of things here. On bright sunny days, for photography, one of the basic things that is there is the light. The object, whichever is the object, the light should not come from behind. When light comes from behind, okay, yes, Binaji, you can do that. I will show that to you. Okay. So now, one of the things, the basics in photography. Again, a tip: the light, the source of light, should never be behind the subject or object. If that is the case, shadows will be very long, and to the extent that the features or the finer points will be lost. Right? Light should come ideally from the sides at a distance. If not that, then from the front, from a distance there. When we say shadows, okay, one of the things about shadows, of course, I'm at a distance because I cannot, show you that. Okay, let me switch on this light. Yes, if you see, if you see my picture very clearly, then under my chin, all this is shadows, not the right way to click a picture. This is not the right way to click a picture. And I mean, that's why when we shut this, if you look now, the shadows are not there. Whatever it is straight. Right? This is the angle and the positioning of light. Right? So
where is the light now?
See, my light is right now directly in front of me. It's straight. You won't be able to make that out. If I try and show that to you, just you watch my. Just give me a moment. I'll show that to you where it is. Sorry about that. Just give me a moment. Okay. See, of course, very little you'll be able to see. This is my camera. This is my laptop, and the light source that is there at the top is about 2.5 feet behind. Okay, there's a wall. I mean, if you can see, there's a wall there, and this is the distance there. Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. One of the things that we need to see, especially, is the light, and very, very essential when trying to click great pictures there. Just give me a moment while I get back to my video settings. Choose virtual background. Yes, done. Yeah. How do you find the handle of it to share with someone? Okay. I will answer your questions, Kauraji. I have them. And one of the things on your chat, when you send it direct to me, it will come only to me. Or if you send it to Gopi, then the chat will go to Gopi. Okay. Or everyone, that will also, Gopi will be able to check on that.
No, it does. On your this thing, I noticed it never has everyone in your settings. That's what I was asking.
Okay, I'll check that.
Settings do not have everyone. It only has you and the host.
Okay, that is something I think the technical team might have revised. The chat.
For everybody else, it's always there. I've noticed, especially for yours, it does not have it.
Yes, she's correct. Yes.
Gopi, can you please check with the technical committee and see if what is the challenge there?
Sir, I just checked the setting, sir. There is an option just to message with both of us only. So now I just changed it, sir.
Okay, yes. Great. Thanks. Okay. So we were talking about outdoor photography and the effect of lights there. Yes, if something is required that we need to click a picture, and it's a great, we don't have any option. One of the best things that we do use is the flash. Use the flash, because then what the flash does is it fills up all the dark spots there. Okay. That is known as flash fill. When I got to know about it for the first time, it was definitely a little bit of a news for me. There is so much light there, but still we use the flash. The flash only fills the dark spots that are there. Okay. And that is what is known as flash fill. Okay. Now, in indoor photography, the light sources, one of the best things about indoor photography is like I just showed you. If I want to look, more of an Asian, I use this light. Okay. I use this particular color, the off color. If I want to look something like too bright, okay, I use this white one. And there are a couple of other lights also which I can use. Light plays a very great this thing, but the basic advantage of indoor photography is that we can move around the light, okay, and there is more flexibility. Okay. We can move around within the room, place the object or the subject as per our requirement there. The best is, when we say more light, means it's not that it needs to be brightly lit. It's not that it needs to be brightly lit. When we see on the, on the screen, because the camera does not, the smartphone camera does not have a viewfinder. We only see the details on the screen. So whatever appeals to you there, that is, the best quality of, or the best amount of light there. Quality of light definitely is essential, like the color and plus the harshness, as we call it, or the glare. Now, in this, in this picture, as you see, I mean, I use this very frequently. If you see here, if you see in this picture, this is by the side of a window or a door, which has a glass, transparent glass. And light comes in here and you see the reflections also. Although the walls are white, but still within that you see the shadows. And even on if you see the leaves, the gloss is there on the leaves itself. An ideal kind of a picture, without using any kind of a natural light, any kind of a artificial light, as we call it. Now, getting over to from here, I will what I will do is ideally after I will stop share screen from here. Okay, let's continue this. Then I'll do the last 10 minutes. These are some of the standard modes that I was talking about, which you need to explore. Okay. In a normal smartphone, okay, the kind of modes that we get is number one, portrait mode, most widely used. Okay. Portrait mode, what it does is it helps to click a better pictures by capturing a sharp foreground. So any individual, like, that's why we say studio portrait. Okay. Why do we call it a studio portrait? That's, the reason is that when the studio portrait is clicked, anything that is in front of the object till the object is very sharp. Okay. After that, normally what they do is they use a flat background. Okay. In the sense it's a single color. If not, even if it is not a single color, the background is slightly blurred, so that the object or the subject, they stand out, or as we call it, they pop out. So that's why it is called as the portrait mode. And this is something which we have in our cell phones also. Okay. This is known as the portrait mode. And any kind of a close-up or any kind of an individual or an object. When we go over into the other modes of photography, I will be touching on this subject more there. Then we have the panorama mode. Okay, panorama mode. What it does is there is an ultra wide kind of a strip. Okay. If there is a lot of background that we need to capture, we use the panorama mode there, or ultra tall pictures. Besides that, we have the slow and fast motions. What they do is they're generally for fun. Okay. But then if it interests, it is for fun, and the phone does it automatically. Besides that, we have the night mode. Okay. Very good for outdoor photography or where the lighting is bad. That is when we use the night mode. We have the HDR mode. The HDR mode, as I had, explained earlier, it avoids washed out photos, white skies, or subdued colors. Generally used outdoors, but it can be used effectively indoors also. Besides that, we have the time lapse. Time lapse is a good thing, especially for individuals who are more into what we call it into plant photography, or they have a garden, and more to do with the with landscaping. What in time lapse, there are a collection of still images that are clicked every few seconds, so that any change that occurs, a typical thing, time lapse is used when they show it in videos also, that a flower is blooming. Okay, it visually it blooms in 2 seconds. In 2 seconds, they will show that from a bud it has bloomed to a full flower. But actually, that is time lapse photography. Right? So anything for us, if we are any kind of clouds, sunsets, traffics, plant growing, that is the time when we use that. Slow motion is again an option, which is normally used to again. How many of you all see what you call it? All the soaps that come up, or the Ghar Ghar Ki Kahani and all that. Okay, you don't watch, Anjana? Okay. You see the lead characters, they will start to cry, but the tear will roll down after 5 seconds. Okay. Now that is slow-mo. Okay. And because they got to add emotions, they have to show that. So that is something, that they use slow-mo for.
So that is the trick then.
Yes.
Oh,
Otherwise, you think all of them are crying. Nobody cries, Anjana. Nobody. They get paid to do that. Then we have the macro. Macro is again a very good for close proximity. If we have to show details, this is again a pretty essential kind of a thing for even in those individuals who are into say food. Okay, let's take that for an example. If you made a cake, okay, and the dough has risen very well, and you want to show the air pockets, when the dough raises, there are those, I don't know what they call it. I have the least knowledge on that. But, those cells which form up, or in the bread also. So when you want to show those kind of things, or even, okay, let's take it. I am a Punjabi, what you call it?
Sir, you are on mute.
How did that happen?
Sir, someone joined. I clicked on admit, but she already admitted.
Okay. So like for example, any kind of a spice wrapped around any food object. Say you want to show that the spice is wrapped around very well, or just a simple pakoda, a chili pakoda, that the basin is right around. Click a macro picture and share that. Right? So then there is the expert or pro mode. Here we need more of professional knowledge to use all this. Okay. And because we can set everything right, the white balance, exposure, so on, so forth. Then there are some common settings also that can be changed. This is all in a cell phone photography. And they have symbolic icons there. For example, flash. It's generally built in, and in low light it is used. In the auto mode, it can be used at when required. The phone will decide, the camera will decide when it uses them. Timer, very essential. But when using the timer, please use a tripod or a fixed stand so that the camera does not fall off. Okay. Very essential. And this is again, it will click a picture after that time that is set, or we don't touch the shutter when the timer is set there. Zoom is also a great feature, but not to click pictures in Zoom. Those pictures are not great. Click a picture, see it. Maybe if it's if something is at a distance, click the picture, see that picture, zoom in, zoom out. But for printing, it is not a good picture. So not to use that. Of course, these are some of the standard things that I'm sharing. Golden hour. This is the best time to click photographs. Okay. Before just after sunrise, or before sunset. And because everything becomes more golden, and it has a pleasant appearance there. Something like now this is Mumbai. You see these clouds. So say supposing if there was an individual here, or if we were in the mountains, or anywhere else, and this is a long shot. But a closer shot, it would look very great there. Something like this. These are all golden hour shots there. Then there is again what is called a rule of.
Mr. Could you please share the previous one about the golden points when to click? The slide that you had.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it. Thank you.
This is this is the best. Even otherwise, you'll see when we those of us who are who have any kind of an open space. When we sit out in the open space, especially early mornings and early evenings, when the sun is about to set, that's the time when this reddish tinge comes in. If outdoor, nothing to beat that. Near a seaside, nothing to beat that. Click photographs at that time. They are the best. So this is something which, of course, do try when outside. And like I said, this is again, you won't believe these pictures. Both these pictures, they are from my daughter's place. She lives in Chembur, Mumbai. Supposedly one of the most polluted cities, but still golden hour has this effect there. Now, rule of the thirds, a very essential kind. Especially when doing any kind of a photography outdoor or even indoors. It is very natural. If somebody is placed in the center, if any object or any individual is placed in the center, it is assumed that there is a pose that has been that the individual has posed for that picture. Okay. But you off-center that individual or that subject, and it will not look posed. Like, for example, this thing. Okay. If you look at the lighthouse is the subject. Okay. Divide the frame into three, both horizontal and vertical. It's here in one corner. By doing so, they have captured the front, the side, and the back. If this were here in the center at this place, the whatever is behind, the background, which is plain, would have been much more, and that would have spoiled the picture. Right? So try, and even after when we are at home, when we are at home, when there is a gathering, somebody is sitting, more towards the side on a sofa, and you just click a picture sitting in front, not just facing them, but of the entire sofa. It would look, very natural. That individual would look very natural. It wouldn't look as if he has posed for that picture. Right? So that is, what is called as the rule of the thirds. Now, very quickly, I will log in from my hand phone. I'm already logged in from there, and I will share screen from there. Just to let you know, some of the, now this would again, this would again differ from individual to individual. Okay. I go into sharing screen, and okay, sorry about that. from here, I will go into the camera, and on the camera itself, okay, in the camera itself, if we are looking at that, one of the first things in a smartphone, the front camera is what we call as the selfie camera. And when we switch it over, when I pause the camera and switch it over, it goes into the reverse mode. Okay. The other thing, that I would like to show you, just let me open the camera settings before. Yes. And then share screen. Sorry. Okay. Now the screen that you're seeing, okay, this is the screen of my Android device, my Android camera. All the modes, they are here. Now the first one highlighted is the night mode. Okay. Video, if we need to click videos, this is a normal photo. Okay. You click a picture with a photo of an individual and see the difference when you click that same picture in the portrait mode. Okay. This is the portrait mode. Besides that, there is an option for more. And in the more, we would get all these options that are there. Okay. Time lapse, ultra macro, slow motion. And when we look into the expert, that is where the pro mode is. And last, is the pano. But pano literally means that, if I want a larger background under a normal situation, if I click a picture like this, okay, if I click a picture like this, if I just click this, it would come up like, but now, if I want a larger background, I can keep on going and it would, click that picture. I would just show that. Now, see the strip that you're seeing, okay, the small picture that you're seeing. This is a pano strip, okay. And the same thing, okay, if I go back, let me go back. And if I had to click, a normal, if I stop pano and I click a photo, if I click a photo, I will get only this much. What you will be seeing, this is just a photo. Okay. And the same thing, if I click a pano, I want a larger background. So I go over into more, go into pano, and you see that arrow appears. Okay. Now I move the camera and capture all the background. Okay. And, when I stop, what I will get is, sorry, it didn't, I didn't, let me start from here. Now, the strip that you're seeing, this is, this starts from my desk here. And I clicked, wall number 1, wall number 2, and wall number 3. 3 walls I covered in one kind of a picture there. Okay. So that is what is a panel. And this is present very much within the camera itself. Okay. So even when, even if you have a get together at home and there are many people who can't fit in, just try and click a panel there. Okay. It will work